For SmartRank, when looking for candidates, we were searching through hundreds upon hundreds of applications with attached resumes and cover letters, and literally having to, go through line item by line item for requirements and education and experience. By the time we narrowed down a handful or a dozen or so candidates, it was again a second deeper dive into those resumes. A lot of time just going through resumes, looking at line by line, comparing one to the next, and at the end of the day, for looking at applications like that, a lot of them just kind of blend together. And what I found, for me, it was easier to identify the candidates that we were not interested in than the candidates that we were at first. So that kind of first review was, what are the red flags that I'm looking for that make me say I'm not interested in this candidate? And that was kind of the first step of my process for me, so that I could weed out the candidates that I knew I didn't want to take a deeper dive into. Yeah, so SmartRank has made a huge difference for us and for me personally, as the person that is managing the hiring process. And so by the time the candidates actually hit my desk, I can see that whether or not they're qualified, what their experience is, but also what kind of actual technical requirements and technical experience they have based on that assessment, which has been huge for us. So what that has ultimately done for me is it's made my job a lot simpler. And then ultimately for the whole company, it's made things a lot easier, and it saved us time and money from a big picture perspective. Is I don't have to pull my developers, who are most knowledgeable with the technical jargon. I don't have to pull them out and ask them to look at these resumes anymore. Now I can see, based on the SmartRank assessment and questions, whether or not they have the capabilities, whether or not they're able to answer simple questions. So it's not just the candidate saying, hey, this is the information that I want to provide for you. It's giving us an opportunity to say, okay, well, this is specifically what we're looking for. So my developers now have more time to work on their billable tasks, have time to continue with their work with our clients, which is obviously how we are generating revenue for the company. So I'm letting them get back to their jobs, and they're letting me, SmartRank is allowing me to focus simply on the HR stuff without pulling in the other developers and the technical guys to say, hey, does this resume look good for you? I think it looks good, but as a non-technical person, I need a second set of eyes to say, yes, this is exactly what we're doing. It has empowered me in my position to take the reins with the hiring process, and it has given our developers the ability to take a step back from that process and do what they've been hired to do. And when we bring our hiring managers in, they're already 6 steps ahead of the process than we were when we weren't using SmartRank. They're the key pieces of information that you want us to know. We're able to kind of take it back to them and say, well, before you just hand us this generic application, answer some of these more specific questions for us, because these are things that matter. So by the time we bring our hiring managers in, they're already 6 steps ahead of the process than we were when we weren't using SmartRank.
Yeah, so that's great.
And the nice part about that is my managers know that when I rope them into a meeting for an interview, or I'm sending this information, they know that they're not wasting their time, because we've already gotten through all of those people that really aren't qualified for the position. So they are more willing and more engaged to set time aside to participate in the hiring process. We have considered bringing recruiters on to help us. We have had relationships with recruiters in the past that have helped us, but what we're finding is that SmartRank is actually doing the job of the recruiters for us. So we are saving the money that we are spending on placement fees when recruiters find us the right person and the right candidate, and we are able to kind of bypass that piece of the process. So the initial screening calls and questions that the recruiters are asking, they're asking on our behalf. So the recruiters don't have the business knowledge that we have of our own company and of our own team. They also don't have the cultural information, and they aren't able to determine if people are the right fit or not for us. So they're going through the generic screening process for us, spending that time that of course then we're charged for on the flip side when they place someone for us, and we're just bypassing that process. So we're able to save money from the company perspective, that we don't have to rely on recruiters anymore. Because we're such a small group, and because I wear many hats in addition to the HR and hiring piece, it was overwhelming for me to start the hiring process from scratch. So bringing the recruiters in was helpful, but we had a little bit of an overlap where we were working with both SmartRank and the recruiters, and we were able to determine that what the recruiters are doing is actually exactly what SmartRank is doing for us already. So now I can dictate exactly what I'm looking for and exactly what I want, how I want that process to look, as it fits our specific business needs. I'll tell you that we are saving significant dollars. So I'm trying to think, like the last person we hired in, we found him through SmartRank. We hired him through SmartRank. Yep. If we had hired him through the recruiter, we would have paid about $15,000 for the placement of that.